What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the show. We are your hosts, Chase and Myles, and we are at the Lucky Duck. Welcome, everybody. Have such a great show for you. Myles, please let everybody know who do we have on today.
Chase, I'll be totally honest with you. I know her name is Jess, but I don't know anything else.
Perfect.
So I'm going to pass it back to you.
Awesome. I'm not going to give an intro because I also want to learn more about Jess. Jess, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Let's give a good cheers to kind of kick off this episode. Episode number 4. Right?
Whoa.
Quattro.
Of season what?
Season 2.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you were more established than this.
Established? Who told you that? I don't know anything about that.
We just started like 2 weeks ago.
We are drinking what is called a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
What is commonly known, I should say. I think we should call it something different. This seems a little too one-sided.
I agree.
I mean, given our conversation before we started, I think that's pretty fitting.
Okay, gentleman's agreement. We'll just stick with that until we decide not to.
Okay, so what are we agreeing on today?
Life. Life is suffering, which is why we make good drinks,
That's true.
right?
You know, it kind of looks like there was a duck in my drink. Right?
We should get little duck-shaped ice cubes for the show, don't you think?
Yeah, I bet they make a silicone mold for that.
Yeah, I bet they do.
That's a good idea. We'll have to talk to finance.
I had, I think it was Janie got me a silicone mold of the Death Star. And when every time I used it, it looked nothing like it. It was just like a mess of an ice cube ball.
Like these?
Yeah.
The trick is like how much water you put in it before it freezes. If you like fill it to the line, it expands and then it loses its shape.
Yeah. See,
Science.
we need this out there. This information. What are some other really good tips that you have for us? Just general life tips.
General life tips.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're just gonna jump into it.
Yeah.
General
Okay.
life tips.
Okay.
Give me one just right off the top.
Yeah, general life tip. Don't go on a podcast without a topic.
Oh, snap.
Ooh.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take it. I'll
Yeah.
take that. So Jess, tell everybody where you're from.
I am from Iowa.
Oh, snap.
Oh,
nice.
I lived in Iowa.
Did you really? What
Yeah.
part?
In Des Moines. For
Okay.
3 months.
That's like the best place to be if you're going to be there.
Okay, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Also, everyone kept asking me why I was there.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the cable guy came and he's
cost of living is low. They've got good jobs.
like,
You can live like a pretty good life in Des Moines.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was pretty
Iowa.
cheap.
pretty cheap.
And did you like it there?
I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Which is why you're here.
It's why I'm here. I grew up in a town of like 5,000 people.
Holy shit.
Graduated with 66 people. I wrote a graduation speech and I named and said something about every single person in my graduating class.
Really? Were you the valedictorian?
No.
Oh, okay. They just let you talk?
There was like a writing.
Oh, okay.
It was part of a writing class.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's like you see those Hallmark movies and it's like warm fuzzy.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's so terrible. Everybody's in your business. Like even now when I go home for the holidays, I'll be like in the grocery store with my mom. And some person I've never met before will come up to me and like quote the last 5 years of my life. And I'm like, who are you?
Oh, wow. So that small,
Yeah.
huh?
Yep.
So did you rip into anybody during that speech where you're like, Casey, you son of a bitch. I know you talking shit about behind my back. Fuck you.
I mean, I like to think I'm a pretty nice person. I said like a nice memory about each one of them.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. That's
I only
fair.
talk shit behind people's backs.
That's pretty
Nice.
cool.
Good to know.
I gotta imagine in a town that small, it's kind of hard to find a mate, right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah. So what do people do?
You know, a lot of people make it work. I have to say, almost everybody that I went to high school with married somebody there and like moved back after college. They've all got like 5 kids.
Wow.
And that's what makes them feel joy inside. Just not for me.
Some people love it.
Do you think that town has grown in population since then?
No, it's actually shrunk a little
Really?
bit. We had this really I'm sure you guys have heard of Tyson
Foods?
Foods.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like Tyson chicken. So we had a really big Tyson plant in our city, which employed a lot of people and brought a lot of people from surrounding cities. And they actually closed it. So
Oh.
took the jobs away.
Yeah. That seems like a lot of like middle America, like tragedy. A lot
Yeah.
of like kind of those blue collar jobs go away for one reason or another. And then it leaves the town that kind of was being supported by it. Like up, and then nobody wants to move there. And then it just kind of like becomes a town of old people and people who never left after high school or, like you said, moved back after college for one reason. Although maybe
Yeah.
do you think remote working is going to change that?
Wait, question first. Did you have internet there?
We had dial up like when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my mom has like broadband now, but
Yeah.
it's still not super.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's probably better on the cell phone. You get like a better connection from your phone there, or nah?
Truthfully, I haven't been back in a couple years, so I mean, maybe that could happen in a couple years, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's about the same, I'd say.
then people can work remotely if they wanted to. Family, right? If
Yeah, I
you're
was
there
gonna
for your
say
family.
if you think about like the rising costs of real estate in these big markets like Denver, San Francisco, New York, when remote working is like a more accepted like thing for society, cheap real estate, it's got to be like the go-to, right? And I don't know if your town was like a really nice place to live in terms of like the scenery or anything. I don't know much about Iowa.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you can get cheap piece of land, build a nice big house, relatively cheap compared to like Denver or whatever, and then work remote, why not?
Yeah, I think it depends on the company. I can say a lot of industries are not necessarily going that route, or if they have current employee populations who are wanting to like move out and do the remote thing into a more affordable geographic, right? They're evaluating their compensation and adjusting it to where they're living specifically. And I think we'll continue to see corporate headquarters and some of the big staples, right? Like Denver and Seattle and Chicago, New York, right? Just because of the higher concentration of people, there's more diversity in those locations. And also that tends to be where a lot of the niche skill sets are gravitated towards.
I see your point. Yeah, I got to assume that that small town you're from has not as much diversity as some of these bigger cities. Then,
Yeah,
is it safe to
no,
say?
it's definitely I would say predominantly white.
Right.
I think even from like a Caucasian perspective, just like different religions, backgrounds, there's just not a lot of that. When I went to college, it was pretty eye-opening, and I didn't realize how sheltered I was.
Where did you go to college, or what state at least?
Funny story. So I spent my first couple years in California.
So the complete opposite of what you were used to.
Yeah, well, I hated it there. I
Yeah.
just like it wasn't my place. And I actually went to a community college in California because I had this whole plan where I was going to get in-state tuition before I transferred to a 4-year school because I was paying my way through college. And California's in-state tuition program is like pretty solid with their financial aid options. But it was 2008, so not to date myself, things were really bad then.
Yeah.
I remember my first day at this community college. There were all these like signs taped to the door saying that like your class had just been canceled. Like each professor was asked to eliminate 25% of their course offerings. And this just wasn't at my school. This was also at like the big 4-year universities in California. And by the second semester, most of like my friends that I made there had actually dropped out of the 4-year schools because they were paying full-time tuition and only taking one course. So they're like, well, if I'm going to pay this, right, I might as well go to a 2-year school. So it was just weird times for sure.
Do you think that was like a ripple effect from how poor the economy was doing at the time, or what do you think that was?
Yeah, so it was the 2008 financial crisis for sure, and then on top of that, California in general really mismanaged their finances, and so they definitely like felt the pain quite a bit more.
Been a problem for a while now.
Yeah. So by the time I went to transfer to a 4-year school.
Sorry, I'm just gonna adjust that a little bit.
Is it echoing?
No, don't worry.
Perfect.
I'm sorry. So 4-year school.
Yeah, when I went to transfer, they actually weren't accepting spring class because I got my associate's degree really fast. And I was in this position where I took time off and waited for the fall semester, or I transferred to an in-state school in Iowa to continue my education. I hated college. It's not for me. I'm not a book learner. If I took time off, I probably never would have graduated because I hated it that much.
Really?
So I
Just
transferred.
more of a on the job, not on the job, but like more of a hands-on learner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands-on learner for sure. So transferred to University of Iowa for my last 2 years. And
did that end up being a good decision, or do you kind of wish you had done the other route?
I wish I would have chosen a different school. I think like a private school probably would have been a better fit for me. I was in classes of like 300 people. Our professor would post the curriculum online immediately after class, and they just read from the slides. So I learned after like my first class, I was like, I don't have to go. They're not going to notice me gone.
Yeah.
They post in the footnotes like the quiz questions.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that was my college experience at University of Iowa. I just kind of like creeped by and don't really feel like I like came away with like any.
Yeah, I feel like that's
crazy
a
knowledge.
very common issue amongst like these large. I feel like Florida State has a lot of that too.
Yeah, definitely.
And in our experience with, I was in art school at Florida State, so our classes were like 15 people, but the gen ed classes I was required to take was very much akin to what you were speaking to, like 300
Right.
people. You go online, you can buy the, nowadays I think it's even easier. There's like subscription like plans to like quiz answers. Like literally I saw something on TikTok. It was like, oh, I use this, it gives me all the answers, it shows me exactly how to do the math, and I'm like, wow, so that's fucked. Like how are we supposed to learn, like how are we supposed to understand advanced concepts when they're pretty much done for us? I mean,
Yeah.
some of these things, like, do I need to learn calculus to do my job now and as a artist or whatever, designer? No. So, but I think there was a bit of discipline like involved in like actually applying yourself and learning advanced concepts, whatever discipline it was, whether it was math or English or science, you know. And I guess the knowledge of it kind of didn't outweigh the wisdom that you gained from actually doing it, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. So I don't regret my decision. I think, like I said, had I stayed in California and waited another semester, probably wouldn't have gone back to school.
Yeah.
But that is the path that I took, and it's just kind of interesting how things turned out.
Yeah. All for the best.
Yeah.
So what'd you do after that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got my degree in psychology,
Nice.
which was another just giant disappointment.
Oh, okay.
She's gonna just shit on academia now. The whole psychology.
No.
Damn.
So my like life goal, I wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
I wanted to like change the world, right? And what people don't tell you when you're choosing your degree. So I think it's like the statistic is like 92% of universities, their psychology program is in research psychology, which is like working in a lab. You're doing a lot of statistics and like hypothesis. And so that's not what I wanted to learn. And that's what I got my degree in. So I found a school that offered an actual psychology program, Peace ID program, actually, here out at DU, where you graduate licensed to practice. And so that is how I ended up in Denver. I ended up not going. I decided, gosh, like 2 weeks before I was supposed to move out here, I had this experience at work. I had this coworker, and her son committed suicide while we were at work.
Whoa.
Which is just awful. I can't even imagine. But there's this weird thing when you tell people you're going to school for psychology, they just like tend to just share things with you. I think it's subconscious, but for whatever reason, we had no relationship after it happened. She would just like come up and sit on my desk and like tell me all these things. Like she like brought his like suicide letter to work and was like, here, read it. And like
Heavy.
was just, yeah, it was really heavy. And it was even like, I was working. I was like on the call with a client. She's sitting there telling me these things. And I don't want to be rude. Like I said, I can't imagine what she's going through. But it really made me reflect and think like, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Because most people who go to see a therapist, and while you can help them and you can change their life, they're not usually going there for warm, fuzzy things. And can I handle hearing these sad stories every single day? Just like as a human being, can I handle that?
Mm-hmm.
And when I really thought about it, the answer was no. So everything was already in motion to move out here. So I did.
Cool.
And that's how I
Did you have a
landed in
plan
Denver.
at that point? You're just like, I'm going to go and see what happens kind of thing?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't have a place to live. I had a cousin out here I hadn't talked to in like 8 years. My mom called her, like panicked. She's like, "Oh, can Jess live in your basement?" She said yes.
Wow.
So I
nice of
moved
her.
out here,
Shout
no
out to
job,
her.
no place to live. Yeah, she's a wonderful human. Got a job at a contract agency just to have some money coming in while I figured out what I wanted to do, and literally fell into HR, which when you think about it, right, psychology people kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it ever since. So
Yeah, they're very much related. I mean,
Yeah.
I can say you still fulfill that need to help people, right? You're literally a human resource. Yeah. It's weird to say it like that.
Yeah. Do you, comparing your experience with that woman at your previous job and what you've dealt with in the past years, do you think it's kind of similar, or do you think it's really a different type of psychology or management of people?
I mean, it's kind of both, right? My role that I'm in is definitely more strategic. I'm assigned an executive, right? And I am that extension of them, right? I'm helping them think through organizational design and performance management and employee engagement, right? Large business initiatives, right? That's the meat of my job. But it's human resources, right? And I think there is that mindset with people that we are there for kind of the feelings things. And so you get put in these situations where that's not my job, right? But when someone's in your office crying because they want to commit suicide, right? Like you can't just be like, not my job.
Yeah.
So I've definitely had some pretty heavy experiences with that, right? And I think having a background in how to handle that has definitely helped me. I think there are a lot of people who haven't experienced that, and it's a hard position to be put in face to face with another person and just knowing what to do for them. I think it's hard for anybody.
That example you brought up reminds me, have either of you seen the show Mythic Quest on Apple Plus?
No,
I have not.
I know of it though.
It's basically a game studio and a bunch of creative people, and then there's some developers and stuff. But they have, I don't know, 6 main characters in the show, and they're constantly going to the woman who's in charge of HR, and they're always going there complaining about personal things at the workplace, and she's like, "This is not my job. Stop coming to me about this stuff."
I've seen so many memes of that, like very issue with HR of like being like a therapist. Like that's like the big joke, running meme joke, right?
Yeah.
Is like, I'm a therapist, but this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Is that accurate, right? You feel that sometimes?
I mean, honestly, so the current role that I'm in right now, I am remote for the most part. And so it definitely changes that dynamic, right? Versus if you're in an office, right, and you can just walk up to somebody or you see them in the hallway and you just want to vent, right? Now, if someone wants to do that, they have to schedule a meeting on my calendar.
Much more by the book and official. Do you prefer working from home or in the office?
Yeah, honestly, I feel a little mixed. So my role is technically hybrid. We have an office here in Denver, but we are still not requiring people to be on site because of COVID. So I think, I like being remote in the sense that I am super efficient. I get so much stuff done and I'm really productive because I don't have that person that's constantly like popping their head in my doorway.
Yeah.
To ask a question that's not my job.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
But I think from a strategic perspective, right, and being that extension of, an executive team, those relationships, you don't get hired into a job and you're like, hey, I'm Jess, take advice from me, right? It takes a long time to build that relationship and that trust and to earn that seat at the table. And that is sometimes easier to do in person. I actually am pretty fortunate. My executive team flew out here about 2 weeks ago and we spent the week together. And definitely at the end of the week, right, this is the first time I was meeting them in person. We were bonded.
Yeah.
And
There's
we'd
like a
gone
rapport
through
there
some.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see value in both.
There's always that guy that like lingers too long in your doorway.
Yeah.
He starts like, hey,
Oh my God.
how was the
I
game
know.
on? Or hey, how was your family when they visited? And then they roll and they keep talking.
Meanwhile, you're here typing, looking at your computer.
yeah, I'm
you
just
look
like,
over.
checking emails. Craig.
You would be
Talking to
surprised
you.
at how many people lack self-awareness and social cues. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah. Some people are really good at it. And those people tend to rise up I feel like a lot of times you'll see a lot of upper management have really good people skills, right? And then there's always that guy where he's been with the company for so long and he just doesn't move up any higher. And you're like, what's his deal? What's going on there? And then you meet him and you talk to him and you go, oh yeah, that's why. He doesn't know how to read the room. He doesn't know how to talk to people. And you're like, there's a reason why you've been here for 20 years and you still are where you are.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I think the biggest thing I like about working from home, which I've done for 5 years now, I think it's been, and there's a huge thing that I miss, which is the pro that you brought up, is being able to talk to my coworkers or leadership or whoever and have that personal connection. But my company's done a lot of that through having team meetings where they'll bring everyone together and then we'll have a week to bond and, do some meetings, different things. And that's really helped. But I think number one, that's really expensive to do. And then the other thing is it's still, then you still go 3 or 4 months and you don't see those people again and you may not talk to them all the time. But being able to not have to engage with someone is amazing. Yeah. It's like, I think I get so much more work done because I had those types of people when I worked in the office who would just come in and talk. And it was like managers where you can't just say, hey, fuck off.
Yeah.
You have to sit there and listen to them. And you're like, but I have other managers who I have to get work done for,
Yeah.
So
It is kind of great though when you do have that coworker that you can just like be yourself with and be like, fuck off.
Totally.
So
Like
true.
I have that relationship with my manager. Like she'll say something and I'll be like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Not doing this.
I saw a TikTok while I was traveling today, waiting to board my plane, and it was like some guy on a golf cart next to somebody. He's like, just work 60 hours a week, but it's fine when you're working with your best friend. And his best friend, I guess, was the guy next to him. And it's like so true, right? Like some of the unbearable, insufferable qualities or tendencies that we fall into with in our work life become more bearable when you're working with people that you actually enjoy working with or spending every day with.
Yeah.
And that's important. If you hate your manager, like how bad does your job suck? Even if your job is like, I don't know, pouring whiskey, it's like easy, whatever. If you're having to work under an asshole or who this, that, and the other, and could make pouring whiskey a terrible job.
Yeah, like if he's always like, you pour slightly too much whiskey.
Micromanaging your whiskey pouring.
You're like, well, then get me a better glass. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
I see you brought Fiji. So you just think
did.
Think you're better than us?
I knew you wouldn't stock it for me, so I brought my own.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's cool.
Did you like the
Cool.
shrimp that we gave you?
Yeah, in the green room. Fiji water, straight from the source, untouched by man.
Yep.
Where does it actually come from? Does it come from Fiji?
What does it say on the? Does it say on the back where it comes from?
That sounds sus.
Fiji water comes from sustainable ancient aquifer deep within the earth on the islands of Fiji.
Shit. Are they running out? There's a lot of that gets
That's so
consumed.
true. What
every
if
day.
there's a little disclaimer that says not always from Fiji?
There's a little asterisk and it says could be bottled in Atlanta.
Yeah.
No, I mean, well, some waters say that, right? They're like bottled at the source, and then you read it, and it's like Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's the
that's
source?
not France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
So no,
like,
it does
Flint,
actually
Michigan.
say
Oh fuck.
bottled in Fiji.
Do you drink that because you like the taste of it, or is it just the bottle that you had?
I was ripping into her before that we
I'm
started
actually
the
really,
podcast about
I'm
it.
really curious about it. Do people like certain brands of water?
They do. Yeah.
I mean, I go back and forth. I'm really not a water snob, I swear. Like, I'll drink tap water. I'll drink the water here in Colorado. But I think I just, like, within the last few months have gone through some different, like, health things. And I've really learned that I've been educating myself, I guess, on the food products in America and the quality of those products. And there's a lot of things that we put in our water, we put in our food that aren't on labels that have been making me sick. And so it's really just been a process of elimination and, again, just doing like deep research to learn more about how things are made and why they're affecting me the way that they are. I got pretty sick and dehydrated about 3 months ago, and I tried like 10 brands of water. And I was drinking like 1.5 gallons of water a day. And I just couldn't, I don't know, this made me feel better. So I kept drinking it.
Wow.
Nice.
That's my story.
I do like the shape of the bottle.
Yeah.
It's a good bottle. I do
Right?
recycle them.
Yeah, it is. It's a good shape. It's like a very different from every other bottle of water.
Yeah.
It makes it stand out for sure.
Do you feel like you're at a beach resort every time you drink one? Because I would.
I mean, it's pretty great. I like order 2 cases at a time. I go through like 3 cases a week, and yeah, it feels good. Just like cracking it open. It tastes good.
Yeah.
You can drink it at room temperature. Yeah.
Did you try Smart Water? Go through that.
I did. There's actually chemicals in smart water.
Yeah, it's like they call it pH
Coke,
balance,
right?
Which I'm like, so how are you balancing the pH?
With
What
chemicals.
are we putting in there, folks? Like, what's going on here?
I tried that initially, actually, like the ones that added electrolytes and stuff. I was like, okay, I got to do something.
What's that one? It's like not Body Armor. Body Armor does water too, but there's one that's like has like a big plus sign on it.
Yep, I tried that one. It's
Yeah.
called
Alkaline one?
No.
Electro or something.
Something, yeah.
Or no, Essential. I think it's Essential.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I know Smart Water, I found out, is owned by Coke, the Coca-Cola company.
It is.
Yep. There's like a lot. There's Life Water, which is a Pepsi product. It's like the action from Pepsi when Coke acquired Smart Water. Actually, I don't know. Maybe they just came up with it. I don't know. Anyway, Coke also owns like Dasani, right?
Vitamin water, right?
Vitamin water, which
Or that's
has no vitamins in it. Apparently, that's a mislabel. So now because of your health issues, a lot of like tricks and very sneaky ways companies like try to like label their foods. Like you were telling me before the
I'm
podcast.
not an
like,
expert by any means.
well, you're not an
I'm
expert, but you
learning.
know more than I do, which is But so organic, you found out like something about the way people can get away with labeling their foods organic. Is that?
Yeah. So I've been kind of through this journey. I've been targeting non-GMO and organic foods because with our food process here, right, it has to be certified in order to have that label, and it doesn't have all of those like fillers. And what I learned was they can put an organic label on a product if there's one ingredient in it that is organic.
What?
Which doesn't solve my problem, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of learned it the hard way. I had ran out of my favorite oatmeal, and so I went to the store and I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy this Target brand oatmeal, right? They're like on sale. Sounds good. And I got really sick after I ate it, and I was like, what the heck? And so I started Googling it, right? And it was just as simple as like, why do some organics make me sick and not the others? And it just went down a huge rabbit hole. So I'm learning a lot. I'm not an expert. Just figuring out
what's the best grocery store to shop healthier food.
Yeah. Probably Sprouts and Whole Foods. For whatever reason, there are a lot of like brands that are really good that I find are easier to get at Sprouts versus Whole Foods, which blows my mind. But I would say Whole Foods for produce has a lot more variety for organic produce than Sprouts does. So it just depends on the grocery item that I'm trying to get, honestly. But those are kind of my two go-tos.
What about TJ's?
TJ's, I love Trader Joe's. Don't get me wrong, but their non-organic foods are actually, they have a lot of like additives and fillers.
Right.
And there's not one close to me, so I just don't go there as often just because of like
Plus
proximity.
they're kind of small and crowded, right?
Totally.
Yeah, but like
Everyone's
I love
going
their
there.
stuff. I can't.
sure.
I mean, I love TJ's.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
Where do you like to shop the most?
So if it's not produce stuff, Target, because they have so many things there.
Yeah.
But otherwise Sprouts, because they're both right next to us, and that's where we go. You used to go to Whole Foods when we were in Boston because there was one right down the street from us, but I don't know if it was just the one we went to. They were always out of things. It was
Oh,
like,
really? That's
it's like the
frustrating.
thing I wanted to get. It was always out. They were always out of, and then their produce selection was always kind of hit or miss. It was like sometimes they had things, which I think every store runs into. I think that's probably just a common thing. But yeah, I don't know. I really like Sprouts now. It's pretty decent. Some of the stuff can be a little expensive. The produce seems fine. I don't know if it's that expensive. I don't really pay attention to the price of produce that much. But yeah.
Sprouts' produce is definitely cheaper than Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Like you go to Whole Foods and you like get a bag of grapes and it's like $20.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh,
Grapes are expensive,
it's
right?
very
It's
expensive.
so weird.
Yeah.
You know what else can be expensive? Some squashes. I don't know if you guys get squash.
If you get like the hard squash,
Yeah.
like acorn squash or spaghetti squash, I
Yeah.
feel like those are the more expensive
I've gotten a
ones.
spaghetti squash once. It was like this big, and I think it was like $10 or $15. I'm like,
Jeez.
this is like gonna be like one meal, and it's that much just for the spaghetti. I'm gonna get out of it, you know? I don't know.
It's a pretty good alternative when you want to make like spaghetti and meatballs or something like that. To do like spaghetti squash instead of
Yeah,
noodles.
I'm a big fan of spaghetti squash. They
Yeah.
actually sell like a dehydrated spaghetti squash now at Whole Foods. You just like
Really?
it's like in a box like pasta.
Mhm.
You just add water and it like
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
You know, they would buy the I forget the brand of it, but it was always that chickpea pasta. And then I learned that a lot of those have crap in them too.
yeah. If I've learned anything, it's like most things have crap in it.
Huh.
Just like
So you got to get unprocessed, organic
Whole food.
produce and stuff to
Yeah.
make meals.
yeah. I would try to when I
100%.
can. It's not always possible, but
Someone told me how to make oat milk, which is easy. I guess you just
You gotta
grind
milk
up
the
oats.
and you put
Oh,
in
yeah.
water.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, I should do that.
It's watered down and crushed
I don't
up.
know. I've gotten into oat milk, and not all oat milk is created equal.
Totally
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. Wait, what brand are you going for?
Yeah, so my favorite, and I'm extra like this because like I like what I like. I think I tried like 6 brands.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I really like the Pacific brand. It's like the green circle
Okay.
label. And it's organic, and it's just like the perfect amount of like creamy and thickness, and there's like a little bit of sweetness. And I use it to make lattes, and it's just really, really, really lovely. I bought one from a farmer's market that's organic that I really wanted to like, and it just was not there was like a weird chemical taste to it.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that one. So is that
Pacific Foods.
is that the kind that does it come cold in the cold section?
No,
It's the
uh-uh.
boxed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a like what you buy broth in usually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the cold ones, they actually add, there's additives in most of those.
Yeah. What has been the like one thing that you've cut out from, this whole adventure you've been on? I'll I'll make it call it an adventure. Yeah, what's been the one thing that you've been like wish you could eat, more of, but you just can't now? Or
Yeah, I think like the biggest one that jumps out at me has been sugar,
yeah.
like cane sugar. I did an elimination diet and reintroduce foods just to try and help figure out and narrow down what was causing some of my problems. And I felt like I had been hit by a truck for like 2 days after I ate it. I was like,
Whoa.
my God.
Wow.
And so just realizing how bad like it physically made me feel, just like I couldn't stand when I got out of bed, like my hips hurt, right? I literally felt like I'd aged 30 years, and I was like, well, I guess no sugar for me.
So that's pretty much anything with added sugar would be that.
Yeah, for the most part, I try to avoid added sugar, especially if it's not something like sometimes breads, right? Like the yeast needs a little bit of sugar, but through the processing of it, right, it eats the sugar, if you will. Depends on the brand and how much sugar they put in, right? You've kind of got to know like the ratio for if there's going to be like filler in it. But
Sounds like a whole job learning what
Totally,
is in your
right?
food. Like
yeah,
it's like time consuming enough to like go out and buy it and then cook it and prepare it, but then like doing all this investigation, I can imagine takes a lot of your time.
yeah. No, honestly, a good starting point. So I've been to Europe several times, and I notice anytime I go there, right, I eat whatever I want, as much of it as I want, and I never have any issues. And like I can get potato chips in a gas station there, right? I can, have pasta or bread, right? And it's never been an issue. So it's like, okay, why can I have it there and feel fine? And when I have it here, I get really, really sick. And so if you just like go down that path, it gives you a lot of informational, like starting with just like the foods that are banned there. Like soy, for example, is illegal in most of Europe.
Really?
Like if you go to a coffee shop, you can't get soy milk like in a latte. It's not allowed to be put in any of their foods.
Why is it?
Gosh, I can't remember. I think something about like carcinogens and research that it causes cancer or something. Or
I have
not
heard
enough
that
research.
it's not great for you.
Yeah. I heard that
Yeah. And they just like do better things for the environment. Like almond milk is fantastic, right? But it's really, really bad for the environment. So like that's not allowed there either.
Really?
Just because it's not like ethically sourced. Like a
Right.
lot of the foods that they have there are homegrown. If you
Right.
will.
Is it because it
so-
just it requires a lot of resources to farm? Is that one of the reasons, or because I've heard that about almonds, that almonds
Yeah.
are just not sustainable.
I think it's like the amount of water and like what you have to do to the environment to like get them to grow at a rate
Yeah.
that you can process them.
So it's more sustainable to make cow's milk, for instance, I guess.
Yeah, oat milk is really big in Europe.
Yeah.
So it's actually because oats are easier to
Yeah.
produce or something.
Yeah, more sustainable.
That's weird.
So yeah, if anyone's interested in learning more, just like Google foods that are illegal in every country but the U.S. It's really insightful. Like food
Yeah.
coloring,
Yeah,
not legal everywhere else.
really.
And that's something I've learned. I'm allergic to yellow number 5, which is in everything.
Yeah. Yeah,
Starburst.
M&Ms,
So you
Mountain
can get
Dew.
some like
Anything
you could
that's
get
yellow.
like no like white. Like I was eating this was probably like 6 months ago. I was eating like a sour cream dip, like a chip dip,
Yeah.
and I just like broke out in hives, and I was like, I don't understand. And I looked at the label, and it had yellow number 5 in it.
What?
It was white. There's so many foods. We just put up like fillers in food just to put fillers in food that like
Because it's cheaper to produce.
cheaper to produce, mass produce.
That's
yeah.
so weird.
Maybe it's a huge conspiracy that the
the yellow 5
medical the medical people are paying these industries to put worse things into it so that we get sicker and it costs more.
Yeah, I'm sure you paid a lot of money to try to figure out going to the doctor and doing all that
I'm really
stuff.
thankful. I started a new job in June, and my health benefits are just like crazy. I had like a $25,000 surgery, and I paid like $23 out of pocket. So I'm very fortunate. Like
That's dope.
most people are not that lucky.
Yeah.
That I've been able to kind of like explore everything that needs to be explored and not have to worry.
That's good.
A big bunch. But for a lot of people, like, yeah, at my old company, I just would have like been dealing with it because I wouldn't have been able to afford it.
Jeez. Well, good for you. Being able to, for getting that job, obviously, and then being allotted that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Do you think that it's actually more expensive to eat healthier, or there's plenty of ways to spend the same amount of money and eat good quality food?
Yeah, I think there are ways that you could do it. Like, and I personally don't do this. I could be better, but like I think if you like had a garden, right, you could get a lot of like organic vegetables and produce, and if you did it right, you could, freeze the beans or green beans or whatever you're growing, so that you would have it kind of like year round. I think that's a huge way, because like buying seeds, it's like a packet of seeds for, I don't know, zucchini squash. I eat a lot of that. It's like $2.69, and you could have zucchini squash for the whole year, right? So like there's definitely a way to do it. You have to put the work into it. I don't have a green thumb. I kill everything I touch, so I'm just not going to go through that path of frustration. I think too, like if you really are passionate about it, want to be savvy about it, like eat seasonally, right? When oranges aren't in season, they're more expensive.
Yeah.
Right? And
or
so
grapes.
just take grapes are just always expensive.
That's true.
But yeah, I think it's just like looking at what's on sale, because like most stores, even especially when for organic foods specifically, when they're getting like towards the end of their shelf life, they just like clearance it. Like it was at Whole Foods the other day, and it was like 3 packs of strawberries for like $2.99, because they were just like, at the end.
Gotta eat them within a couple days, or freeze them or something.
But you can freeze them. Like I don't know if you've ever bought frozen fruit, but it tastes the same, just as fresh as when you froze it. So I think there's like a way to do. I do those things? No, but there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Put in the effort. Yeah.
Also sounds more sustainable if you're like growing your own stuff, and
that's what I want to do eventually.
Like composting, so like your leftovers, using it to like make mulch for the soil.
Yeah.
Do you drink coffee?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you? Because I found out the other day, and I feel like a total doofus for doing it, but putting coffee grounds down your kitchen sink is like a bad. Yeah.
Clogs it, right?
Yeah,
Does
clogs
Janie
it.
know?
Yeah. She does now. She was like, when she found out, she was like, I'm gonna still do it. I don't care. I'm like, no, let's not do that.
You guys really never knew that?
No.
That's interesting.
No.
Wow.
Like I said, I feel like a doofus.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't do that anymore. But I also feel like I should be, like a lot of people use that for composting, right? Is that?
Yeah, I think coffee grounds is a good compost, is what I hear. I'm not a good person. I use like the pods.
Oh yeah.
I like.
You're not a good person, is that what you said?
Oh, I mean, we're talking about sustainability.
Yeah.
But in fairness, I'm kind of a coffee snob. I have an espresso machine. And they actually have a really great recycling program. They will send you like a bag and a label for free, and you just put your used pods in there. You don't have to like wash them or anything. And you just ship them to them, and they like clean them and recycle them. So it makes me feel like a little bit better of a person.
Didn't the Keurig guy, the creative Keurig, like deeply regret coming up with it because of how much waste it produced like annually?
Yeah,
right?
I remember he said that. It was maybe like 6 years ago.
Years ago, yeah. He was like, felt really terrible.
Said he wished
about
he
it.
never invented it.
Yeah,
but someone would have. I mean, there's been other.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can do reusable pods, so you can get, grind your own coffee, put them in. Same thing with an espresso, but I don't know if it's as good.
They don't have the reusable pods, at
Not
least for the
officially.
like Virtua machine. Well, the Virtua machine, which is their newer machine, there's a barcode on the bottom
Oh,
of the
right.
pod, and it scans it to know like the correct amount of like pressure and temperature it should push that specific coffee through to have like the most optimal coffee, which is why I love it so much. But they have a fantastic recycling program. I don't have to pay anything. They send me a bag. They pay for the shipping label. I just dump my used pods in there, and they take care of it. So
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That
Do
makes
they recycle them though?
yeah. We'll
I
never
wondered
know.
that because
they're like
I
a
also
European
had
brand.
one.
I think they care about that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounded really
maybe,
bad.
maybe.
I'm a dick.
I don't know. I found out after like 4 years of recycling at my job that they just threw everything in the same bin. I was like, oh no, guys.
That's what I mean, I'm not afraid of it, but I have that kind of thought in my head. I spend a lot of time recycling things, boxes, cans, whatever, and I feel like I'm going to find out that the place I live just throws it in the trash anyway, and I'm going to be so angry.
Yeah, you find out a lot of the times, even in like residential suburbs where they come with that recycle truck, like a lot of that doesn't actually get recycled.
Yeah, the other thing, if you put the wrong thing into it, it can
Ruins
make
the whole batch.
Yeah.
Like a greasy pizza box.
Yeah, so then I have to, every time I have a product in my hand, I'm like, okay, it says it can be recycled, but it's number 3, and then I have to look at what my recycle provider actually recycles to actually recycle it. But if I put it in the bin, then I could potentially have wasted everything that I put in there before.
Dang. There's
a lot
got to
of
be an
work.
easier way
gotta
to
be.
figure this problem out.
I guess it's just not sustainable. Yeah, I don't know, or it's not cheap enough.
I don't know. I think there's just like and I'm guilty of it too sometimes, right? Like a laziness.
Totally.
Yeah,
About
laziness
it.
comes into fact for sure.
Yeah.
Because there are other countries that do it right. Like they're really diligent about like scrubbing out their bottles and like making sure they're clean before they recycle them. Because if it's not clean, it can't be recycled.
Yeah.
But there's just really no. I mean, gosh, even when I was growing up, in my tiny little small town I was telling you guys about, we didn't have recycling. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a recycling trash can that you put out. That didn't start until I was in high school, which is just mind blowing.
Yeah, I've definitely lived places like that. Even when I went to Germany for the first time, I was kind of confused and then later amazed at how many glass bottles they use over plastic bottles.
Yeah.
If you go to a convenience store or something in the train station or wherever, you might find plastic bottles nowadays because they're big corporations that just bring in a bunch of product. But if you're in a small town or wherever and you're going to a restaurant, you go to the local store, local grocery, pharmacy, you're getting a glass bottle and you bring it home, and then you bring the bottle back or to some place and they steam it out and reuse it. And it made me realize how much because I've always thought, oh, I recycle, I'm good at that. But then you think about, well, recycling is not 100%. You don't get 100% back of what you put in. But if you have a glass bottle, first off, if you actually did break the bottle, then it turns back into sand, I guess. But you could reuse the bottle, and it's the same thing. Like they don't break it down and turn it into something that's less than what was there before.
Right.
So it's
Which
pretty
is
crazy.
more sustainable, right? Because it's like less, production waste, less. Just
Which I thought Snapple ended up going from their glass bottle to a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
did they really?
They did, and I always thought that was weird because I was like, I had the same train of thought. Maybe it was like one of those, like Coca-Cola's doing like the sugar cane bottles now, where all their a portion of their bottles are done with sugar cane.
So they just melt away.
I get it's like I guess a more sustainable. I don't know. I don't really know, but
Or like the Starbucks cups, instead of a straw, it's like a lid.
yeah.
But it looks plastic. I don't know. Maybe it's less plastic than a straw.
When space travel becomes more sustainable, meaning like we don't have to burn an insane amount of jet fuel to get us into orbit, we should just bundle up all of our trash and send it right into the sun. Wow. Right?
That's genius. But where will we get the resources for more of that?
Slash, what about like
Stuff.
the toxic fumes?
Oh,
that,
come
like,
on. Don't worry about that.
I'm just saying.
Space is big enough.
It's
It'll
big
just-
enough?
It'll just solar winds will send it right back at us. Damn
Yeah.
it.
Overheats the Earth.
Global
warming.
Or we could just send it into the cosmos, just hoping that nobody else
Bounces off the next planet, comes back at us. Yeah.
What if that causes the apocalypse? Another galaxy's planet, just like us, sends a bunch of space trash into space, and then it just starts pelting the Earth one after another, and that causes the demise of our civilization.
Wow.
I think about things like this. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I mean, it's a fair thought.
That's a fair thought.
When we go to Mars, are you down to go?
How long does it take to go there?
A lifetime.
6 months. Not a lifetime. Shut up.
Those are pretty like.
Well, they say
varying
that if you
answers.
go, when you go, that you won't make it. You won't be able to come back. It's like a one-way ticket situation.
So
but I
that's
think
not 6 months.
no,
months is
6
not-
months to get there.
Yeah. But if it's like 6 months to get there and 6 months to come back, like how's that a one?
It will take 7 months.
7
Yeah, how
months.
is it a one-way ticket?
I think
'Cause they
people
can't
like
get it
Elon
back.
Musk said that like it will likely not. You'll not be able to get back.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
like fuel or whatever.
Right,
Like
they'll expend all of their fuel getting there, and they won't unless there's a fuel source they can harvest from Mars. And
So does that like first flight have to have like seeds and soil and like capsules
Totally.
to like
Mhm.
start
life support,
civilization?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
envision
I
this.
don't want to be on the first.
No, you're not going to be on the first. You'll be on like the 2000th flight. Say that they've got a nice colony going, like Xenon in those movies.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like they have like space, like little, I guess, outposts on Mars and big city and stuff. Would you do it? Would you like abandon Earth and go check out Mars?
Yeah, I mean the way you're talking, I don't think I'll be alive when it's ready for me.
You
But
don't know that. They're working on some stuff for aging.
Yeah. Computers
Oh.
advance
Mm.
a lot. Technology advances a lot. What if we used
But we're saying I'm the 2000th trip.
Mm-hmm. There's
Yeah.
quite a few people there now.
yeah, they do like 1,000 trips a day.
Yeah, they have their own Facebook now.
They're on Facebook.
Yeah.
They have their own
discovered
metaverse.
time travel.
They say that if you that getting to another galaxy or outside of our galaxy, the only way we would be able to do it is if we uploaded our consciousness into like a computer. Would you be down for something like that?
No.
Like to live forever? You ever watch like Black Mirror, that TV show?
No, yeah, I've seen some Black Mirror. The
Yeah.
show's fucked up.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have that. I don't have a fear of dying. I don't have
No?
a fear of like needing to live forever. That just doesn't bother me. So I don't know if I have like the urge. I don't know. I think it just depends on like the circumstance and the state of the earth at that point in time and my quality of life. I think those would all be things that I would consider. But like just generally speaking, it's like I'm not worried about living forever and I'm not afraid to die. Like if I got hit by a car tomorrow, like well,
Yeah.
life's over.
Well,
It's a good way to live. Have you always had that mindset?
Yeah, it's just never really bothered me. I don't know. I think I think it bothers a lot of people.
I think I'd be more
and it just
bothered
doesn't bother me.
about my loved ones.
Mm.
Like I feel the same way as you. I mean, I don't want to die tomorrow, but if it happens, I'd be like, well, that sucks. But I feel like I would feel bad for the people who would miss me. You know what I mean? Hopefully there's
You're
people
such a
who would
nice
miss
guy,
me.
Miles.
Yeah, I
don't know.
mean, and maybe it's the stage of my life that I'm in, right? I'm single. I don't have kids. I'm not married.
Okay.
I have my family and I love them, but like
Yeah, you're doing you doing you.
I'm doing me. And if I die tomorrow, leaving all my stuff to my brother.
Yeah. So maybe you'll feel different in the future, and then you'll go to Mars.
Yeah. I heard they have lots of Fiji water.
Yeah.
On Mars.
And lobster.
If I have a lifetime supply of Fiji water, then I'm sold. I'm going.
They'll pack it.
Book
with,
my
they'll pack it
ticket.
with
I
you.
heard that they
Yeah.
don't have water there. So I don't know where this Fiji water
It's-
comes.
If
it's
they don't
in-
have water, it can't sustain life. I thought like Mars was like it had like the riverbeds and stuff.
Oh, but
Yeah.
they're frozen, right?
Yeah,
Or no?
but we'll
It's
figure
still
it out.
water. Frozen water is still water.
Yeah. So they just have to find a way to melt it.
No, How hard is that, Miles?
It's actually surprisingly difficult.
To melt? Just
Yeah.
put it up on your chest, rub it around, and then let it drip into
Do you know
some
how much
cups.
en-
Well, probably
you know how
not
much-
because we don't want to like cross-contaminate it. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
because-
boil it afterwards.
because I think it would-
what?
It would take more of your energy to melt the ice than water that you require. So your body wouldn't be able to produce enough energy to melt the ice for the amount of water that you would need to drink.
Yeah, but if you had a like a outpost with a bunch of people in it, our natural body heat would create an ambient temperature that is conducive to melting water. No.
couldn't we just bring like a heater or something, like
Yeah.
planning for the fact that it's frozen in the ground? Like we'll put that on the first
You have
ship.
to
Like
power
this
the
See,
heater.
that's why we need
Heater's-
you on the
heat-
first ship.
heater
Is
spike.
because we need people like
Yeah,
you
you could
thinking
like
about
set
these
it. You
things.
guys are saying technology so great. It could be like some type of solar base.
You know,
space.
People are always
energy,
saying that we can't
heater
have
spike.
alternative sources of power or energy, but what about nuclear energy, right? People are always saying, oh, it's dangerous and it lasts forever. That's great. We need it in Mars, right?
Well, I think they're working on like nuclear spacecraft.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
Imagine a nuke going off in the air
it'd be quite a fireworks show.
in space.
It's like
Yeah.
It's like those science fiction movies back in the day when nuclear energy was an exciting thing right before they dropped the bomb and killed everybody and made nuclear war just a total possibility. And
I know people who think that that is the most sustainable source of energy on Earth. And they think that people are afraid of it, and so politicians don't want to lobby for it, nor anyone else, and so we don't use it. But that we would have so much power if we did.
I feel like water or hydro is underutilized for sure. Like if you think about like Iceland and kind of like
Yeah, they have
how they're
geothermal,
set up.
which is
Yeah, a lot of it's like the
pretty unique.
waterfalls though. They like
they have
capture
that too.
the
Yeah.
I don't know if that does
Energy.
that produce enough power though to like power the United States?
Maybe in Yellowstone, but I think people say they're afraid that they'll mess it up, and because I think there's been some regions in the world where they've used geothermal energy and the geothermal activity went away, and so people are afraid to use it. I don't know how Iceland's done it because Iceland
They're like
the power is
well-oiled
incredibly
machine.
Yeah.
and they have like
there.
a ton of like excess, right? Like
Yeah, I went to a greenhouse farm. It was like they produce 40% of all of the tomatoes in Iceland, and they're all in greenhouses, and it's all powered by geothermal, and it's super cheap for them to produce it. That's crazy. They can't grow tomatoes outside.
It's like 20 tomatoes. It's not that.
Yeah, right. There's only like 10 people. No, but they can't grow them outside, so they literally grow tomatoes inside in a greenhouse, in greenhouses, and they use the geothermal energy to do it. That's why they're able to do it because it's so cheap. So how? Yeah, that's a good point. Why are they doing it? And how are they've been doing it for so long? And why can't we do it?
Yeah,
People
it's
are
definitely a
afraid.
good idea. I just wonder about the scale of it. Being able to scale it to supply the energy needs.
I feel like even just focusing on like a portion of the country though would be a
Yeah.
good starting point, right? And
That's
like
true.
learning from it and then
Yeah.
building off of that.
For hydro, I think we're running out of water. That's just what the media tells
There's
me.
a drought. I heard there's a drought.
But
Yeah.
what if you produced hydro?
But a lot of it's like carbon emissions and greenhouse gases,
Yeah.
right? Like
For
What
the
is-
water disappearing? Really? It makes it go away? Because it goes into the air?
it's evaporating, right? Like the Earth is getting hotter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
I see what you're
temperature is
saying.
rising.
I see what you're saying.
Okay. So,
Like
But-
even when you think about, let's look at Colorado right now.
right.
Mhm.
It's almost December and it hasn't snowed.
I know. We hit the
Yeah.
record 2 days ago. I
yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And like the temperature here, it just continues to change. Like it's interesting. And I don't know if you ran into this when you were house shopping, but like a lot of the old original houses here in Denver don't have air conditioning. Like they didn't need it back then because it was just
Yeah.
so much cooler. And now, right, it's like you don't want to.
It was an option when we built our house, it was like, oh, do you want
They still offer that.
AC? And I was like, what?
Why would I not want that?
Yeah, they're like, well, they're like, yeah, I know. It's kind of ridiculous. But she's like, I think she said out of the 40 houses in the neighborhood, 2 of them went without AC. And I was like,
Like we saved
what?
$20,000.
It was 4,000. It was like
$4,000?
$4,500. I'm like, that
If
sounds.
you're from Florida
Yeah.
or pretty much anywhere,
Iowa, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
you're like,
"Get
I
this."
need AC. Yeah,
It's a non-negotiable thing.
that's the same in the Northeast. There's a lot of places like that, and I thought, in fact, you'll actually window shakers. Whoever produces window shakers, those portable ACs, must have made so much money in the last like 15 years because they're on every
Sure.
building.
Half of Seattle doesn't have an AC unit in their household. I
bet.
read that statistic. when
Yeah,
I was
and
there.
they're getting hotter. Like they had some really. I have a friend that lives in Tacoma, and they had a really brutally hot summer,
Yeah,
and nobody had AC, and everyone was dying.
Yeah.
I
Like,
heard
the
that.
house was like 90 degrees.
There's
Their house
like
was,
a
90
lot of
degrees.
things that in the house that were like melting that they didn't expect. Like candles were like wilting over. And it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. A lot of people
Global warming.
fled to the hotels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so all the hotels got booked up. That must have been a crazy like tourist weekend to
Yeah.
go visit.
When I was in
weekends.
Florida one summer, the AC had broken and the blinds of the windows, they wilted to
Really?
the sides, yeah, because of how hot it got. And that was like, it could be cooler outside of the house.
Yeah.
Like it would drop to, I don't know, 80 degrees at night, and it would be cooler outside the house than inside, which I don't fully understand. But
Yeah,
it gets super hot.
we often take it for granted that we've engineered ourselves to make it feel like springtime in our home 24/7. Like I often don't even think about it, but that's quite a feat of engineering.
Yeah. All it takes is one fan.
That's the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same in your car, right?
Yeah, that too. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Or you could just put the windows down.
You ever see those redneck ACs where they take a cooler and a little portable fan
Yep.
and they stick it on one end and then they have like a little PVC pipe that comes out the other?
Yeah,
It actually works.
it does
it
work.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nifty, but not very sustainable. You gotta keep feeding it ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have plenty of ice. Oh, wait. No, we don't.
Part of the
No.
water
I'm
shortage.
sorry, polar
Yeah.
bears.
You know, my icebreaker broke in my refrigerator, which has been such a annoying thing because I like iced coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. Even in like the winter time, I'm like gotta have my iced coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Black, just bunch of ice. I love it. So now I've been like going down and revisiting hot coffee, which it's fine. Listen, this is not a big deal. But it makes the coffee taste different. I don't know if you guys have that opinion, but like cold and hot coffee just have a different taste to it.
Yeah. Or iced coffee and hot coffee. Because
Yeah.
iced coffee, hot coffee, and cold coffee, all three have a different taste, I feel like.
They do.
Yeah.
Cold brew specifically is brewed in a different way. If it's done right, the coffee is less acidic.
Yeah.
But if you brew it hot and pour it over ice,
Yeah. Right.
it's not the same.
Yeah, it's got like cold brew's got like a tea taste to it. It's like more of a tea for me, in my opinion.
What kind of cold brew have you had?
Lots of cold brew.
Have
Really
you tried
watered down.
Stoke? STOK?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does not taste like.
Oh,
No.
the pre-packaged one?
I always do.
Yeah,
I
it's
always
like
do like the one that already has like the sugar and a creamer in it.
Oh, I just do
Yeah.
like the black.
Yeah, I've never had that one. I'll have to try
Do the
it.
black. Yeah.
Like the in my opinion, the Starbucks cold brew kind of tastes like tea.
Yeah.
It's like a coffee tea. I don't know. No.
I'm not a Starbucks fan. Their coffee is really acidic.
Yeah.
That's
What-
true.
So you, other than like Nespresso, like what is your, if you're like out and about, what is your go-to? I'm gonna stop and get coffee.
Yeah, I usually go for a latte. Just
Yeah.
You know.
What coffee shop?
oh, honestly, Starbucks is the most convenient,
Right.
and
yeah.
their espresso is different than their coffee,
That's true.
Yeah.
which is why
That's
I get a
not bad.
latte.
Do you get iced or hot?
I'm a seasonal iced coffee drinker, so if it's like warm outside, I want an iced coffee.
Okay.
If it's hot, I want.
It's really easy to make a bad latte as well, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to, sometimes you'll go to a coffee shop and you're like, how is this place open? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went through this experience a couple weeks ago. My Nespresso machine broke.
Oh no.
And I'm like a 3 cups of coffee, like before my day gets started kind of person.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awful. And their customer service is wonderful. They're like, no problem. We're going to send you a new machine for free. But it took a week to come. So I had like a week to figure out what I was going to do for coffee. So I ordered coffee delivery every morning.
Oh my God. Nice.
And the first 2 days, Starbucks, for whatever reason, was not like a delivery option. And so I tried a bunch of like local shops. And to your point, yeah, not all lattes are created equally. I was like, what is this?
Was there a good one that you want to give a shout out to?
There's not. No, I don't want to name. I don't want to name shame any local businesses.
Dead name anybody? Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's fair.
There's a good one here, not here, in Lone Tree called Monk and Mongoose. If you're ever in that area,
Okay.
check it out. It's pretty good coffee.
Good to know.
She's a coffee snob, she said. So
Yeah,
you got to be careful.
try it. I dare you. And if I'm wrong, you'll have to come back on the
I'll t-
podcast.
Deal.
Yeah, coffee. People are pretty particular about it. Do you? No. I used to work with a guy who would come in and he'd have his like ancient looking setup with like a bag, and it's kind of like a French press situation. And he's like, "Oh, I get these beans from my buddy in California, and they're sent, express mail, and I grind it." He like grinds them up right in front of me, and there's this whole thing. It takes like 5 minutes to make a cup of coffee.
Does he grind it manually too? He's like,
Yeah. Oh
really?
yeah.
He doesn't just press a button.
There's a difference between the speed of the rotary tool that grinds the coffee up from the hand tool, man. It's all about the
Sometimes
release
like
of
the coarseness too, I feel, is different.
Yeah.
Like the hand grinder versus the
Yeah.
electric.
So you get it. Are you into that type of thing? What
I
I'm
mean,
describing?
I buy the pod, so
Well, okay,
I don't
that's
have to
fair.
do any of that. But it's a novelty.
Yeah.
Like I go through phases where it's like,
Yeah.
oh.
I could see if you're like if you would get into it like a hobby too, of like trying different beans and
The beans totally make a difference.
yeah.
Yeah, they do.
100%.
And like how
The
they're
beans-
roasted.
Yeah, and also when you grind them versus just buying them ground already,
Yeah.
Mhm.
there's a much fresher, more flavorful taste to it.
Mm. I like Pete's coffee. You ever had Pete's coffee?
It's been a really long time. There's not a lot of Pete's coffee out here. There's one at the airport, but it's never like placed in a good spot. for
Yeah.
where I'm flying to.
Yeah, I usually just buy the bags and oh, you know what? You know who has something similar? If you like Pete's coffee, is the Kirkland Colombian coffee brand from Costco.
Is that their dark roast?
I think so.
Yeah, they're dark. I like the Costco dark roast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. It tastes very similar to, because that's what we usually drink is the Pete's, and then when we found that, we're like, oh, it's like half the price and it tastes just the same. Yeah, it's pretty good. I was surprised because it's like a generic. Kirkland's their like generic brand of everything, right? So it's like
Probably comes from the same farm.
probably.
Have you heard those Costco conspiracy theories?
No.
Like a lot of them are from like name brand, like the Costco vodkas, like Grey Goose and
Oh yes.
like that type of stuff. So I'm kind of curious. We should Google where their Colombian roast coffee comes
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Like what, distributor,
Huh.
It's
It's Nespresso.
It's the Colombian one.
Yeah, it's 100% Colombian. It probably comes not from Colombia. It's like
Yeah,
just
Ethiopia.
saying it. It's right on the border, but we're gonna technically say if it does it have to be grown in Colombia, or can they import it to Colombia first, then package it, and then sell it to
I think it's
us?
like if it's harvested, it's like
Yeah.
the region that it's like grown and harvested. Because like each climate is different, right? Like different humidity, different elevation, different.
Would you, if you had a couple different types of coffee in front of you, would you be able to tell me where the beans come from?
Absolutely not.
Because the guy that was referencing that I work with, I feel like he would be able to do that. Oh, maybe he thinks he could do that. There's always like those wine snobs where like they're like,
No.
yes, this has notes of.
It's like a sommelier or
yes,
whatever the.
this is a very expensive piece of wine. It's like, no, that's $5 wine, bud. What'd you find out?
So Starbucks and the San Francisco Bay Coffee produce the Kirkland brand of coffee.
No shit. Ain't that something?
So you think it's San Francisco Bay?
It's-
Ironic, because they sell the Starbucks coffee at Costco too.
Do they?
Yeah.
There must
It's the
be
same thing. It's more expensive
something-
though.
That's so crazy.
Isn't it funny though? Like
It
it
is.
just goes back to
What if they
The
roast it a
labeling.
little bit differently so that the Starbucks one's a little bit better?
Yeah.
No. It just says the beans are roasted in Lincoln, California.
Lincoln, California.
They originate from Colombia, so there you go.
Wow. I'd hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go to Costco a lot?
absolutely. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is there like what do you think is like the best thing that Costco has for the consumer, like the average consumer, or maybe just you?
Okay, so for me, my two go-tos, and I'm giving you this like background. I'm a single human. I live alone and I have roommates. So like, why am I going to Costco? But like, they have some really good quality stuff for like great deals. So we were talking a lot about organic earlier. Like their organic fruit and like vegetables are so cheap. Like you can get like a giant tub of organic blueberries for like $3.99.
Yeah. Right.
So that's another way to get organic produce. The Costco stuff is pretty legit. And then also, I'm a big ribeye fan. Like I just like love a good ribeye steak. And the Costco ribeyes are just like the cut and quality of meat are just so far superior to like even something I would go to like Whole Foods and
Really?
pay like way more for. So what I do is I go and I buy. They usually come in like a 3 or 4 pack depending on the weight. And then I have like a freezer. What are they? The air seal bags or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like drawing a blank.
Do you have like the machine that does that
yeah,
for you?
yeah.
Oh, that's
I
kind of
got
cool.
it at Costco.
Oh, there you go. You don't have to go anywhere else. It's a one-stop shop.
Yeah, they're like it's like a vacuum sealer.
Vacuum seal,
Yes,
yeah,
yep.
that's
And
it.
and I label them and I put them in my freezer and pull them out and thaw them and like you can't even tell the difference.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. So their ribeyes are fantastic, and then their cheese is really good. They've just got so many good like cheese selections.
They
Probably
do have
like
a
my
massive
favorite.
cheese selection, huh?
The Kirkland brand brie wheel is probably my favorite. It's just like this giant brie wheel, and
Dude,
it's just the perfect
you
amount of like cream.
that's a lot of brie. That's I don't know.
You can't freeze brie either. Not that I've
That's a lot of brie. I think I found the source of your health problems. It's just brie.
That's all you eat.
Yeah.
That was her elimination diet.
I can't.
I brie has grown on me. I didn't like it when I first tried it.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it kind of grew on me. Some things I'm like,
It's an acquired taste.
yeah,
you
I
know?
guess so.
I
Yeah.
don't like cold brie, but if it's cooked with something, then I like it.
Oh, okay.
Spread it on a cracker, man. It's
Mm.
pretty good.
I have this. So if you guys haven't had this before, you'll have to try it. So you take like a wheel of brie and you bake it in like a bread loaf inside of it, and then there's like fig jam on top,
Oh yeah.
and then you like dip crackers in it. It's really delicious. I'm making it for Thanksgiving.
Nice. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Costco.
Is it true that they sell, because you brought up how their meat is cheap, is it true that they sell it either at no profit or a loss so that people will go into the store and buy other things?
Yeah.
So that's their chicken,
Chicken.
specifically. So I would say I don't always find the cheapest meat prices at Costco if you're just buying like in bulk. Specifically, it's like the quality of it, or like if you're going for organic, it's just far superior. That's why I buy it specifically there. But no, so they have these chickens, right? Like the roasted chickens in the deli that are like they're like $5, and it's just like a giant freaking chicken. And those are what they sell at a loss to get people to come into the store.
It's true. It's like $2, $2 something pound, right? It's super cheap.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hasn't got me in there.
You know what kind of pisses me off about Costco is the inconsistency of product availability. Where like they'll
Oh, you have
carry
like a favorite thing, and then
they'll carry a brand for like a month or two, and then they won't carry it ever again. It's like
I wonder why
unless
they
it's
do that.
Kirkland. I mean, obviously it's like their brand, and they've committed to like producing it or packaging it rather, because obviously they don't produce their Colombian coffee. Yeah, like I think what was it? There was like a cilantro, which I don't normally like cilantro, but in this it was like a cilantro chicken like crema burrito thing, frozen burrito, and sometimes like frozen burritos they're hit and miss. Like sometimes they feel like it's just like a nasty, you stick it in the. But I used to stick it in the air fryer, and it was a really good product. And all of a sudden now they don't carry it. And I don't think they plan on carrying it ever again. I'm like, what is going on here? And it was like a product that I'd never seen before in like other stores.
Interesting.
And
most of my like products that I buy again and again.
Yeah.
That sometimes they're seasonal.
Really?
Like there's certain times of the year, but most of the ones that sell good they bring back.
Oh, it must not have sold well. Maybe it was like one of those things where they try it out for like
Could be.
test market.
Maybe for like every department they have something like that where they bring in and it's something you've wanted to try or a brand that you've liked, and then you're like, oh, they sell this here, you get it, and then next time you go they don't.
They started doing sampling again. Yeah.
I have not.
I should go
Oh
now.
yeah, no, I take that back. I got some sample. I went there last Saturday.
Yeah.
I got some samples. Yeah.
Do you feel dirty?
A little bit. I was like one of 5 people with my mask on in the store, and I was like trying to pop it behind my mask. It was like the Thanksgiving shopping rush.
Yeah.
But the person that like gave it to me had gloves on and stuff. So
Yeah.
That's good.
yeah.
It's like being on a plane trying to eat. You're like,
Yeah, that's the worst. I wear those
weird.
N95 masks when I travel, and so
Smart.
it's very tight on my face, like it should be, right, to do its job. But like, when I'm snacking on those pretzels they give you mid-flight, I don't want to like. It's hard to pull it down on my face because if I pull it down here, it just like suffocates my chin, because it has the 2 straps that go around my neck. And so I just kind of like pop the bottom open and then like kind of like baby feed myself pretzels. But then when I'm chewing, it's like shifting the mask up and down. It's like rubbing my face and creating like
pulling it down.
like rash or rug burn or whatever.
When I went on an international flight, there was like nobody else on the flight, so I just took my mask off and ate
Yeah.
the food because it's like an actual meal instead of just snacks. But then when I was on, I don't know, I think it was Southwest or something, they were like, make sure after every bite you put your mask on.
Every bite.
Yeah. And I was like, what?
I guess but there's like so many people, and I don't want to get political, that just are like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm eating.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
You're eating for 3 hours?
I'm drinking.
Always
my
have a
coffee.
drink in your hand. It's like they had a loophole at Disneyland for a while when masks were required there. I don't know if they are still in Florida, but anyway. And the rule was if you had a drink in your hand, you didn't have to wear a mask. So you had like everybody in the park was like, I didn't go, but this is what I heard.
They sold a lot more drinks.
Yeah, they were like, drinks are up 50%. It's crazy. Yeah, and so I guess they stopped doing that after like a couple months because they recognized that it was being abused.
Bad habit. Yeah. There's always, I don't know. There's a way to abuse something. People will always abuse it.
Totally.
My old company that I worked for made the decision to like return everybody back to work just like 2 months into COVID.
Yeah, like June or something.
Yeah. And so we had that same thing, right? Like if you're at your desk and you're eating or drinking, right, it's fine, right? You have to take your mask off, but then like it's got to be back on. And there's always like those Karens that are like, get a complaint because it's been 3 hours that they're sitting at their desk without a mask, and it's like, Karen, you need to have your mask on at your desk. And she's like, still drinking my coffee, can't you see that it's full? And it's like, that's not how this works, Karen. Put your damn mask on.
Damn it, Karen. It's always Karen.
Yeah, Karen's a dead name now. Nobody's naming their kid Karen anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife knew someone named Karen who changed their name because her name was Karen at her work. Yeah.
Legally, she changed her name.
I don't know if it was legally. She like stopped telling people her name was Karen. She probably went by her middle name after that or
okay.
something.
Honestly, I don't
Say.
blame her. I mean, It is such a it's such a meme now.
Yeah,
That
I would imagine when you tell someone my name's Karen, you probably get, you know.
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know. That name's done. It's like Adolf,
Yeah, true.
after that whole
I
thing.
feel like that name's like coming back trendy, which I
It
don't
is weird.
I don't get, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a unknown. What about Thanksgiving? There's a lot of people that don't want to celebrate Thanksgiving now. How do you guys feel about that?
I never really celebrated it that much to begin with. To me, it was more about just I went with my family and had food. And
Yeah.
not really the meaning behind Thanksgiving, except in like elementary school.
I can't. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like I remember in elementary school, like coloring like
The turkey and shit.
like a turkey, like wearing a pilgrim hat. But like ever since I got out of elementary school, Thanksgiving to me has always just been like getting family together and eating good food. And
Yeah.
I feel like even now, I never really think about like the origin of Thanksgiving or anything
Yeah.
of that. It's always just like, let's get people together, have good food, and then y'all can peace out, And I go to bed, wake up, and buy useless shit online for Black Friday.
True. It's just the pre-Black Friday holiday.
Yeah,
That's what everyone knows, right?
yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Jess?
yeah, I think I'm indifferent.
Yeah, yeah.
Similar. It's just a day to eat food, and
Yeah.
honestly, I haven't spent it with my family for a few years now. So
Mhm. Yeah,
More
it's
about-
true.
More about friends then, I guess.
yeah, I guess
Just
it's the
being
time to
around
get
people.
together.
Get together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard Target has no plans on opening up ever again on Thanksgiving.
Ever again. Huh.
You know,
Yeah.
I think good for them. Truly, I remember when there
Yeah.
was like a shift in because it used to when I was growing up. It wasn't open on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Right. It was always like midnight on Friday where you like went. And then it kind of just started creeping earlier and earlier. It was like 10 o'clock on Thanksgiving and then 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And it's like 5 p.m. It's like, we're open all day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny having seen that evolved growing up. I think it's a little bit refreshing to kind of like scale it back and be like, oh.
What's interesting is I'm sure there's some people, of course, there's some people who want anything, but did people actually want to have to go shopping on Thanksgiving? It was kind of like, damn it, they're opening at 10. Now I have to go on Thanksgiving to get the good deals, right? Instead of going the next day or midnight or whatever. So it was kind of like, I don't know if people actually wanted it. They were just like, more time to sell things.
Mhm.
And then people were like, stop doing this.
I feel like some families made a tradition or a ritual
Yeah.
type of thing out of it where like the whole family went out and like went shopping and stuff. I could see that, but it just feels dirty that like this is a tradition, which is going out to buy TVs and stuff on a holiday where we're trying to spend being together and breaking bread with good family and friends, It's like that all gets ruined.
But then, like, people, it's just like if you're like in a Walmart or a Target at the start of a sale for like a major electronic, like a 60-inch TV, and there's like 10 of them. It's just like the epitome of greed. Like, people are mean and like ruthless.
Yeah.
Like,
I will not stop
elbows are thrown.
till I get one of those TVs. Okay, I don't care what
I'm
I
just
have
like,
to do.
It's yours. Honestly, I walk in and I see the line, and I'm like, well, I tried.
Yeah. Then you go home.
I don't wanna be
You're like
around
1,
these crowds of
2,
people.
okay. There's more than 5 people.
I
I'm
feel
out.
like I'm the same way. I just be like, okay. Well,
I
maybe
think
next
one
year.
time I stood in line outside of Target. It was like 5 or 6 years ago when I lived back over like closer to Denver, and it was snowing out. And that was the worst. Like sitting at wait. I didn't wait too long. I think I waited like 15 minutes, and then they opened the doors. But it was like there was a moment where I was sitting there and I was getting pelted in the face by snow, and I was like, "What am I doing here?" I guess like I need to rethink myself.
That's
like,
so funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
The struggle's real. I don't know.
Black Friday.
Yeah, I mean, to your point too about some people have made it a tradition to go out and shop with their family and do whatever. I think if maybe it wasn't for the people being so greedy and rude to other people, we wouldn't have a negative like feeling about the whole situation. We would just think, yeah, you go out with your family and have some fun shopping, rather than you go out and wait in a line and then claw your way to the TV or
Have
something.
Push
someone
grandma.
like rip
Yeah.
the last TV out of your
Yeah,
hand.
people
Like,
have literally
I've like
died.
watched people do that. I'm like,
Yeah. The videos that you've seen, online of like grandma getting pushed to the floor. Yeah, no, it definitely gave Black Friday a whole like a dirty like reputation.
Yeah, and then everybody in all the other countries are like, American people are stupid,
Right?
Because they
Yeah.
see a small population of people killing each other at Walmart.
They think we're stupid for a lot of
Oh,
reasons.
that's true.
That's just one of them.
I mean, we are stupid.
Yeah.
Everyone's stupid.
yeah, it's funny you bring up other countries' perceptions of us. I have a friend who actually just got married yesterday to a guy from Ireland, and so they're talking about like where they want to live, where they want to start their life. Do they do it there? Do they do it here? And like his perception of Americans and like how safe it is to live here is not good.
How
Like
safe
he's
it
like
is?
yeah, like scared to be here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
it's just interesting that perspective because like
Yeah.
being here in Denver, right? I feel really safe.
Yeah.
But shootings and things like that just are not a thing in Ireland. Are very, 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 very rare. And so like here, it's like shooting every week.
Do they have like right to bear arms there?
In Ireland, I don't know. Do they? They don't in the UK, right?
Yeah, I think no.
Because not even the police have
Right.
firearms.
Yeah. That would contribute to that statistic, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just interesting how we've been perceived to him in
Yeah.
the news. He's like,
Oh yeah,
it's
right.
safe to raise kids there. It's like what?
Totally. Yeah, because like how else besides I guess like popular pop culture like movies, TV, film, right, or music, how else do you hear or understand or know or educate yourself about American life or
Yeah.
it's through
Well, I
the
think
media,
we've had
right?
like so many big events that have happened
Yeah.
just in the last couple of years too, with like the Capitol getting stormed. And,
Yeah, Trump.
all the things that are more and more. Not, I think they've always been like this, but now are more and more in the media regarding like Black Lives Matter and police brutality and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's got a camera now.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's not like it just started happening.
Do you feel I think I've asked this question to a couple other guests, but I'm interested to hear what you think. Like the whole availability to understand what's happening across the globe. Like back in my day, no, back in my parents' day, even like before that too, their lives were so much more, I guess, narrow. What's the phrase I'm looking for? They didn't necessarily
More
know what was
sheltered?
happening on the other side of the country or maybe the other side of the planet, just because like things weren't so globalized.
Yeah, they were sheltered from it.
Yeah, you just weren't privy to like seeing what's happening, and so quickly too, right? Like you open up your phone and you instantly have the news. Like before, you waited for the Sunday paper and you find out what's happening, right? I feel like there's a bit of weight on our shoulders these days, like our generation and the generation after us, of like bearing not the responsibility, that's a lack of a better word, but bearing the access to that information. Like that, I can understand why a lot of people have like anxiety or are very anxious, because it's a lot to process and it's a lot to take in. Like I can't imagine growing up as a kid with a cell phone and having access to like all that information. I think I'd be such a restless kid, I don't know. I don't know how you feel. Do you feel the same way or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing a really big difference in like the new generation versus even our generation. It's not like we're that
Yeah.
that terribly old, but that's it's almost to the extreme with them, right? It's like that's all they know, and they almost don't even know how to function without having that with them socially, right? Like my mom adopted a bunch of kids after my brother and I went to college, and just going back there, right? They're in middle school, they're in high school, right? And they have their friends over, and it's like they'll have 5 friends over, and they're all sitting in the living room not talking. They're just like sitting on their phone texting.
Yeah.
It's just like the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
It's like, are you not having a good time? Like, I don't.
Yeah, this is having a good time. They're all talking to each other. No, they're living in a digital world. Yeah.
And so those like coping skills, I can only assume, right, are maybe lacking, right? Where it's like, oh, if I've had a bad day, like I'm gonna go for a run, or I'm gonna go for a walk, or I don't know, when I was little, right, like I rode my bike a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad at you, Mom. I'm gonna ride.
I'm gonna run away.
My tiny little town. I'm going to the park, right? But like that's not what they do. That's not how they cope. That's not what they turn to, right? And so yeah.
Yeah, I was walking through the Nashville airport the other day, walking to my gate, and I was just kind of like being present, kind of in the moment, and I kind of took a moment to look around and see what everybody was doing. It's very crowded, obviously, like, Thanksgiving's, everybody, when this episode drops, it won't be around Thanksgiving, but this happened around Thanksgiving, and I just looked around, and literally there must have been 100 people in the gate hold in that area. Every single person was doing this on their phone, which, like, you can't blame them, right? You're sitting in an airport, you have nothing better else to do, and yeah, you're gonna look on social media or read the news or do this, that, and the other, but it just made me think about what we would be doing if we didn't have these things. What were airports like back in the day when you just had nothing better else to do but just sit there and wait for your flight, and it's just so interesting that we have to be like stimulated constantly, like with this, or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. We were at a wedding, and there was this little kid, and I think he was supposed to be like the pallbearer or something.
The ring bearer.
Yeah.
Pallbearer's at a funeral.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Same thing.
Yeah. Well, and he got shy. He didn't walk down. He kind of like, I guess his mom like kind of took him off to the side, and he like kind of sat off, away from everybody. And he was kind of being like, I think he was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7. Yeah. He was kind of like, restless, laying down, being very like rambunctious, or you could just tell like he had restless leg syndrome or something, and then his mom whipped out the phone and put on a video or some kind of like interactive game, and immediately, just like that, he like stood up, got very proper, and just like kind of just zoned in. Like it was like the only thing that existed at that moment was that video that was playing. And it was like, whoa. I was kind of taken back by it, because if that's how, I don't blame her for doing that. It's like we're at a wedding. It was in a church. Everybody was very quiet, and she just needed that like very like quick solution to, make him stop being fussy or whatever. And but if that's how this kid is just going to grow up, is always having that to keep him occupied, or to solve any of the issues, like just being distracted constantly by it, I'm like, I can't imagine what that is going to mentally create going down the road. What type of person, or how that affects our upbringing, essentially. It's just super. I don't know. It's just really fascinating to me. The mental health crisis that we could see. I don't think we've gotten there. I mean, like we're starting to see it, like I guess erupt, but I don't think we're there. I think we're just seeing the generation that
The kids who grew
are
up
coming out of
with
it.
smartphones and
Yeah.
tablets are probably like 16 now.
At this point, you think?
I think so. Where it was like from
I think there's some like 20-year-olds.
yeah.
Yeah, but the apps
right.
and the things available now, I don't think they were quite different. I don't think it was like in the same way. I know YouTube's been around for a while, but
There was all those like weird, like there was not TikTok and stuff, but there was definitely Facebook and Instagram and what were all those weird like Vine and
yeah.
Snapchat used to be bigger.
Yeah. But were I mean kids like little children weren't using those apps, you know what I mean? So
I would say like 5th grade and higher were.
Yeah, probably.
yeah.
And if your
true.
parents like blocked it, I'm sure they figured out how to
Yeah.
circumvent that.
Yeah, you just Google something. How to circumvent the
Well, it's like
parental
all it takes is
controls.
one of your friends like, yo, listen, I found out how to do it. It's like, oh, teach me,
Yeah.
bro, teach me.
Well, even when I was in high school, there was like a website you could go to that got around like the blocked website.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
It's just like,
I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, my mom tried to do that, but then I didn't matter. I still got past it." And it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. But also I think attention span of people is totally different now. Like you
Yeah.
were saying, if you had to sit at an airport, which before they had, I mean, before 2001, you didn't really get to the airport that early to where you had that much time, I guess. But yeah, even so, you still get there a little early. So you make it on the plane, you just have to sit there for a bit. And you probably were okay with it. Like maybe you just read the newspaper or sat
just
there
had,
and
like listen to
journaled.
music, you know?
Yeah,
like
music.
the little like
The Walkman.
Walkman.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere with me.
I remember I used to bump it slightly, and it would skip. Like, oh, that's my favorite part of the song. God
Do you
damn
remember
it.
they had like the anti-skip that came? So, like,
Yeah, it
Silver
only
was,
works
like, a little bit better.
Yeah, it was a little better. Not by much. I remember those Now CDs. I got like a Now
Yeah.
2, and I was like, yeah. I think it had like all the small things on it. I was like so happy about it.
Yeah.
in your CD book.
Yep. Oh yeah, the little binder that you flip through the pages. You're like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna listen to today on the way to school?
You could only listen to one CD at a time.
Yeah, and it was like that's when records had
Yeah,
a purpose.
They don't make albums.
Yeah.
Like they used to. Like when I think about like even I don't know if you guys were ever into Brand New, right? Like
Yeah.
Deja Vu and like they just don't make it like that anymore. Where
Yeah.
it's like comprehensive and like each song
From
builds on
start
the
to
other
finish.
one, and like you listen to the whole thing and it ties together perfectly. Like they just don't. It's like a lot of one-hit wonders. And,
That's so true.
Yeah,
So-
there's still some band like the Killers just came out with an album, and it was a very like cohesive from start to finish like story about like Brandon Flowers, the lead singer's like hometown and stuff. But yeah, for the most part, a lot of modern music is just kind of one-offs now.
Yeah.
And some of it doesn't even make sense. Like even if they're still releasing them as singles, like one of my favorite bands, Angels and Airwaves. I don't know if you know them, but
Yeah.
they put out a new album. But before they did that, they literally released every single song on the album as a single. And so and then when they put the album out, they're like, "Here's the album," and I'm like,
do
"I've
you mean?"
already heard all these songs. Like you literally released them like a month ago."
Maybe it's that awkward stage where they think people want the album for nostalgia. But,
There is some of that,
But
right?
they're like, we have to get into this mode that everyone else is getting. So why write an entire album? Why produce an entire album if you could just release one song and people will listen to that
Yeah.
one song, and then you could release another song, you know?
Keep people engaged throughout the year instead of just dumping a bunch of songs and then waiting a couple years till your next album drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that speaks to how much technology has evolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like 15 years ago when I was sitting in the airport,
Yeah.
I had my album and I was listening to it, right? And that's all I had to do.
Yeah.
It's just like to sit and listen to it.
It's a cool feeling when you almost anticipate the next song. After that song comes on, you're like, okay, this song should come on next.
Yeah.
Now it's so different with like Spotify. Do you use Spotify or any of that?
Yeah, I have Spotify.
Yeah. That's what I've been using too. I remember when that first came out, I thought it was the coolest thing. I'm like, because before they didn't do ads. They just had all the songs and it was still free. And then they came out with a plan. There was like, oh, you pay this much, and there's like, now it's like the ads and the non-ads.
That's
I
right.
pay to not have ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think before Spotify, they just had the radios, right? Like Pandora. You could listen to Pandora radio.
Well,
YouTube.
that or like LimeWire or FrostWire.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
we all did that.
But you had
Let's
to
be
do you
honest.
had to do work to do that.
Well,
Yeah.
Pandora
And it
was like,
ruined your computer.
Yes, it did.
Oh, you want the whole album of the brand new? Also, you get a free virus.
and kind of scared you, like you'd go to prison forever. You're like, I'm gonna steal one more song.
I remember my dad. I pirated. What was the movie? Scott Pilgrim Saves the World or something like that. And my dad got a letter in the mail from Comcast, and it was like, "We noticed that you downloaded this movie, and if you do it again, we're going to arrest you. It's not arrest you, but fine you or something like that."
Yeah.
And he got super mad at me for
It's
doing
such
that.
a dumb movie for them to have
No,
caught
it's
you
not.
with. Take that back. Sorry.
No, yeah, that's a thing of the past, right? That just went right out the window. It's streaming. You think?
For the most part, I have a friend whose like brother-in-law is in IT, and he's got some like hack website where he can like stream like movies that are in theaters right for free. Like
Yeah.
it's still out there.
Yeah, I don't know. There's still something very.
But now they're releasing movies on the streaming platforms, so they're
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
kinda
he's just getting them for free.
Like
you
the
know what I
Dune.
mean? Yeah.
Like
sure.
he doesn't want to pay $10 a month for HBO. You'd rather serve a lifetime in prison, possibly.
But probably not.
Well, now that you just announced it to the world, he's definitely going down.
Yeah. What's
Nah,
his
I'm
name?
just kidding. Where's his social security number? Yeah, that kind of went to the wayside. I mean, the whole industry is different now because of that, right? Instant access to music and
I think
movies.
like Netflix kind of changed the game too, though, with like how they do streaming and
Oh yeah.
like producing their own stuff and like giving it to you all at once.
That's so
and
true.
That kind of like set the pace, I think, with like Hulu and Apple and
Yeah.
creating their own content.
Did you
Amazon.
end up watching Squid Games? That's the big currently the big TV show.
I've watched the first episode.
Uh-huh.
I have every intention to finish it. I just like haven't been in the mindset to like
Oh yeah.
binge it. I don't know.
Right.
My recent watch has been I just binged Ted Lasso.
Oh,
Nice.
And gosh, it just gave me all the warm fuzzies.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's what I've heard. I have a good friend, his fiance is I guess involved with that somehow.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Mm.
I heard it's good.
It's
Recommend it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
really
That's
good.
an Apple TV Plus, right?
It's an Apple TV. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll have to get that.
Yeah. So if you get it, then you can watch Mythic Quest as well.
That's true. Yeah. I'll have to watch that. That's another one.
Yeah.
There's the morning show. I really like that one because we had Apple TV for like a year.
Oh, okay.
I like that one. If you haven't seen that one, that's great.
I just got it. Like
Yeah?
when I started binging Ted
You
Lasso.
should watch that. What's the other one on there that's pretty good that I've heard?
They just released Foundation. Is it Foundation? It's based off of that book. I
Yeah.
want to see. That looks really.
I have heard of that.
Really, really cool.
Yeah? Is it a movie or a TV show?
It's a TV series,
Okay.
but it's based off of a book, and it looks really sick.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to dive into Apple TV Plus here soon because
Yeah.
they're just when I first got it, they had just launched and they had like the morning show. I think the C with Jason Momoa, and then like another show, and that was it. So we ended up canceling after the morning show.
Got
and
it. Watched everything.
now there's I guess a lot more.
Yeah,
that
they
have on there.
they pretty much looked at like a bunch of stars and said, "Hey, come make movies and shows with us," because
Yeah.
almost every one of their the things they've produced has some kind of star in it.
Well, that's the formula, right? Didn't like Netflix do that? They like signed Adam Sandler for like 6-movie deal.
Yeah, they do it for like a chunk. Like
Yeah.
do 5 movies with us. Yeah.
Right. They did.
Interesting.
Did you ever see that movie Knives Out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one, right?
Yeah.
Did you like that?
Yeah. It was
So
good.
I think Netflix acquired the rights to do like 2 more sequels of that, and they paid like $300 million or something
I
ridiculous.
didn't think it was that good.
Did they get the rights to Daniel Craig as well?
Yeah, his in perpetuity. Yes.
That's crazy.
That's the move, I think. Just kind of like sign like a exclusive deal with like either like a franchise or an actor or actress, and do it that way.
They have the Snoopy show, Apple. Yeah, so if you guys,
Like a cartoon?
Yeah,
or was
cartoon.
It like a live remake?
it's a cartoon.
So it's just the Peanuts.
It's something with Charlie Brown and Snoopy.
Yeah, I can get down with that.
I was never a big Snoopy fan.
No,
No.
never did the Great Pumpkin special
No, I
or
just
any
like
of that.
never got what people loved about it. Like
Yeah.
everyone would be like, just try it again, and I just didn't.
Just try it again.
just give it another chance, bro. It's so good.
Stop forcing your opinion.
Yeah, you have to watch it. Like you just have to power through the second season. That's what people say about The Office.
Oh.
Are you an Office fan?
I am. I'm a little burnt out on it, but
Yeah.
I started watching it like my freshman year of high school when it was like the first season was airing and like people didn't know what it was. I had like the DVDs
Yeah.
on season and I like introduced it to my friends. So I liked it from the beginning and introduced a lot of people to it. But I've probably seen, especially like the first 5 seasons, at least 20 times. So I'm just like, but yeah.
Yeah,
good-
you're over
good
it.
show. Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of people had a hard time getting through the first season.
I love
adjusting
dry
to that
humor
time of
like
humor.
that,
Yeah. But once like if you're not into dry humor, I feel like if you power through the first season, you start to really associate with like the characters, and start to like fall in love with them a little bit. So I feel like then you kind of adopt the like adjustment to dry humor a little bit better because it's not for everybody. Can you agree?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And I think that was what was so special about it when it first aired because like there was nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
And streaming wasn't a thing, right? So like
Yeah.
if you didn't see it when it
You couldn't binge. Yeah.
unless you had the
Binging.
DVD.
Yeah, that's true.
You a
I had
binger?
I had the seasons. I'm a big binger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of how I like.
Like binge
Turn-
drinking
turn
as well. Or,
I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, that's like I remember the first thing I binged. Well, I actually think it was Janie binged before I did. I think she binged Lost. And
That's
that
a
was like
very bingeable
that was a
show.
that was a feat of a binge though because it's like 24 episodes a season, 45 minutes an
They
episode.
don't make seasons like that
They
anymore.
don't.
Like back in the day, even like yeah, the seasons used to be way longer.
yeah. True.
Yeah. Now it's only like 6 to 10 episodes
Yeah.
and that's all you get.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. So do you wait for if you know like a new season now is out for and they like release it every week, do you wait till it's all done and then consume it like back to back or are you okay doing like the weekly release thing?
It depends on the time of year and how many like shows I have going, right?
Okay.
Like if I'm like dry on shows, I'll watch it every week.
Oh, so you got a strategy. I
Yeah,
like
I've
it.
got a strategy.
Yeah.
But if I've got like 5 shows or like 5 seasons that I'm looking to binge,
Yeah.
I focus on those first.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair.
I think I'm the same way. Sometimes I'll find myself watching it week to week.
There's just like
if I
dry
have
times
nothing
of the
else.
year where there's not as much
Yeah, totally.
going on.
Yeah.
You're like, I finished the last good show ever. And then you find out that there's another one. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what just came back is Dexter. Did you ever watch Dexter?
No, I thought it was. Oh, I thought the 22nd was the first.
No.
Did they air it?
They're on
I've been waiting.
I think they're on their 3rd episode now.
What? Okay.
Yes.
No, it's on my list.
Which is why I asked you if you wait because that's what we're gonna do because they're doing it every Sunday, per usual, and yeah, I guess
That one, it's just gonna depend. Like, we got the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna have some free time in my hands. So.
Yeah, you might have to dive back in. That's such a good show, right? And the ending kind of was like, eh.
The ending sucked. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knows it sucked. That's what.
I mean, that's why they're redoing it.
I kind of want to rewatch though the last season.
And have to relive the pain
so
over
that
again.
would, yeah, it's just been so long.
It
Like,
has.
I
It
feel like
has.
it's been
Because the last season did kind of bring in some
like
things
8
from the show.
years. Yeah.
So it would kind of remind you, if you did watch it, it would kind of remind you of some of the other elements of the show.
Yeah, if they do any like callbacks to
Yep.
like characters and things, you have to be because it's been so long.
It's
Maybe
been
10
at least,
years.
Yeah, it's been a really long time. So
Yeah.
I just feel like I need to
I would.
That would be a part of my binge.
I
if
think
do
I
it this
might be
weekend.
down to just rewatch the entire series.
Isn't it like
Okay, so I
7
started that
seasons?
initially when I heard like a year ago they were bringing it back. I was like, I'm gonna rewatch the series,
Yeah,
and then there's just so many episodes.
there's a lot. I think it is the 24, right? The 20,
Yeah,
that
they
model.
they were long.
Yes. That's rough to go through.
So
That's like
much murder.
that's
Yeah.
like The Sopranos. If you like, we always attempt to restart The Sopranos because it's such a good show, and if you haven't watched it, I highly encourage you to. But it takes a minute to get through, like, and yeah, they're all like an hour long because it's HBO, and typically those are all like an hour long.
Yeah. Speaking of actually, so Dexter was on Stars,
Showtime.
Showtime.
Yeah.
What was I think it was Showtime. Did you ever get into the show Homeland?
Yes.
I really enjoyed that show.
Yeah.
If they did like a comeback, and they ended it
Did they end it?
perfectly. Oh yeah.
Because I think I stopped. We
Yeah.
stopped at like season 4.
I think it goes to season 8,
Okay.
and
Wow.
they end it, and
Perfect.
They end it perfect.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, that's
They
really
end it
nice to
perfect.
hear.
But that's one I could probably rewatch because
Yeah.
there's just so many things that you miss.
Yeah.
If I rewatch it, that I'll probably catch.
That
was a
show,
good show.
just like, I feel like this may be like a Showtime thing where they just paint themselves into a corner, and you're just like, how are they gonna get out of this? Like Dexter does that all the time, and it was so good at it. And even like Weeds on Showtime was kind
Yeah.
of similar to that
Oh, yeah.
in a more comical way. And then more famously, I think, was Breaking Bad. That's not a Showtime show, but they always love to paint
It's like
themselves
every
into a
episode.
corner. Yeah.
Every episode there's
Where
a
he's like,
huge
there's
issue.
no way he's not going to get caught, and then this show's over, right? And then it's like, oh, nope, never mind.
And even though you know the show's not going to be over, you're like, oh, he still might get caught, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I appreciate about Homeland, though, is like when she, without giving it away, right?
Yeah.
Like when she painted herself in a corner, like she usually
Yeah.
fucked herself over.
Yes.
And something bad happened, and it like carried into the next season.
Yeah.
And it like impacted the storyline of the next season.
Yeah.
Mostly after like season 4, you'll have to see like how
Okay.
it transpires. But like, yeah.
Yeah, I think what annoyed me about her character, I mean, it was the whole mental illness thing. That I'm not saying mental illness is annoying, but I found her character to be very dislikable in that way.
Oh,
where-
that's what I loved about her.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It was always. I'll have to rewatch that one
Because she was
or
so
continue to watch it.
brilliant.
What was the issue with her?
So she worked for the CIA.
Yeah.
And she was bipolar.
Uh,
And kind of in the first few seasons, she hides it
Yeah.
because if they find out that she has it, right, she could lose her whatever. And her
Top security
top
clearance.
security
yeah.
clearance. Yeah, so she's got her sister is a doctor, and she's like writing her prescription for her bipolar disorder under the table, right? But that mental illness, right, isn't 100% managed by medication, right? And so she would have episodes and
Yeah.
just
Especially in like a career like that where like high stress.
right, it would
Yeah.
trigger her. And
I think like annoying was the wrong word. I think it's more like you just want to be like stop, like think about what you're doing right now. Like
yeah,
it
but
wa-
as a psychology, like that's so spot on for like
yeah.
typically what those things look like, right?
Right.
Because you just get caught up in like the she would
because it would be irrational decisions that you wouldn't
yeah,
take.
she'd become manic and she'd be like, my medicine's slowing me down. I should stop taking it. And if I stop taking it, I'm gonna have this brilliant idea. And like, it always ended up bad. But like that's how it happens in real life.
Yeah.
That's
And
I think what I appreciated about it.
and I think I can appreciate that too, like the authenticity, and also just like how brand new that was to write a lead female character with a vulnerability like that.
Because mental illness, I feel like even like my freshman year of college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Studying psychology, it was still very like faux pas and
Yeah.
and not even like a like depression, right? Like you don't tell people you're depressed, right? It's just like you don't admit to that because it's a weakness and people will treat you differently, right?
Totally.
So yeah, it was definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah, I think that's what also made The Sopranos so unique, is because it was like, okay, we have a mafia guy, and what if a mafia guy had panic attacks all the time? It was like, what does that do? Like, what kind of like environment does that set up?
Yeah, because I mean that's not a spoiler either. That's like what you
Right.
find on the
Very
episode,
first
right?
episode, yeah.
So it's like typically in a family like that, you think of that person as having to be strong. So if they're weak, it's like, why are we following this weak person?
Yeah.
Not actually a weak person, but if they have a vulnerability, that's the way they would think.
Yeah. There's a lot of like toxic masculinity in the
Oh,
mafia
yeah.
world. It's so funny,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they definitely poke fun of it in that show. Like I think there's a point where one of the older bosses, like somebody finds out that he like enjoys going down on ladies and stuff, and which is like in that world is a sign of weakness, right?
Huh.
And so he like ends up killing the gal that like had like created all this like not rumors, but I guess tea.
She spilled the tea.
She spilled the tea and she got axed for it because it's like, I guess, a sign of weakness. This is so like
So silly.
cue the eye rolling. Good show. You should watch it.
Yeah, I actually haven't watched it, so
Yeah.
I'll add it on my list of winter binges.
There you go.
It'll
Maybe
be
a lot of
hard.
them.
It'll be hard to watch the first season because it's not even HD, right? It's pretty old at this point.
I think it is because it's
Maybe.
HBO.
Maybe it is,
Yeah.
but it's an older.
Probably. Maybe
Yeah,
started it
it's a little
in
older,
Yeah,
but
so you're gonna at first probably be like, oh, and then
they just came out with a movie.
The Sopranos?
Yeah, it's like a prequel to The Sopranos.
What?
Yeah.
So maybe start with that first.
No, I don't think so, because it's done in a way where you'll appreciate it more if you understand the characters, because they go into like some of the backstories of, or I guess the origin stories of some of the main characters in the actual show, and some of like the family members of those characters and things like that. And what's really cool is, so the actor that plays Tony Soprano, the main character, he died years ago, but his son plays his character and as a younger Tony Soprano. Isn't that cool?
That is
Wow.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah. TV shows, gotta live with them.
So crazy.
Can't live without them.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've like hit 2 hours already, almost, pretty much.
Is that the deal for this?
Yeah, we tried to stick around 2 hours. We found, spoiler alert, we found that like a lot of great conversations happen like after
The first
hour
hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think a lot of people come on, they're a little like not intimidated, but they kind of like aren't opened up yet. So
Yeah,
that,
that's fair.
after they start talking and become more familiar and like get into the groove of it.
Yeah, all
And
of the equipment definitely like had me in a head spin when we started. I was like, all
Yeah.
these things I don't like it.
No, you did great. And thanks for being on. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah, thanks for having me. It
yeah,
was
we got to
fun.
learn a little bit more about you, and we'll have you back on again soon, maybe season 3.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You
But-
could tell us how you like The Sopranos.
Yeah, there you
Yes.
go. Well,
I'll give
check
you
back
guys
in.
a review.
Yes.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on, and thanks for listening, everybody, and watching. Catch us on YouTube. Miles, where else can you catch us?
OnlyFans for sure. You're gonna see a lot of things that you shouldn't see on there.
Mhm.
You're gonna see us on Patreon. You'll see us on Spotify,
Stitcher.
Stitcher,
All the
All the
podcast
pod-
outlets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we, is this really on
TikTok.
OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. OnlyFans is not only for the fans.
She's totally gonna look it up after.
No, it's not only for porn stars. There's other. It's like a subscription thing.
It's
like
also for wannabe porn stars who are in podcasts.
Patreon. Yep. AKA Miles and Chase.
Hmm. There is a topless photo of us.
We will show naked ducks.
I've been taking a lot of pictures of
Is that your
ducks.
profile picture? A couple naked ducks.
Yeah.
Maybe ducks in a bathtub.
Ooh.
We may do some feet
Getting
pics soon as well.
spicy.
Some duck feet pics.
Yeah.
Little cute little waddly feet.
would be really cute. I could be seeing.
Yeah.
I could see it being taken.
There you
Probably
go.
Not to the right.
Yeah, we're doing clips on TikTok. Follow us on TikTok.
Yeah, Instagram, the Snappy Chatty app.
Yep. Do it. Do it now.
Do it.
Awesome. All right. Adios, folks. Till next time. See ya.